Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that has shaped history and inspired billions. The resurrection of Jesus. This isn't just a story from an old book. It's an event that people have built their entire lives upon for over 2,000 years. So, what really happened on that first Easter morning? Let's explore it together. The story begins in Jerusalem, a city buzzing with tension and activity. Jesus of Nazareth, a teacher who had gathered a massive following, had just been crucified. His followers were devastated, scattered, and hiding in fear. Their leader was gone, their hopes seemed crushed, and the movement appeared to be over. They had placed him in a tomb, a heavy stone was rolled in front of it, and Roman guards were stationed to make sure no one could tamper with the body. By all accounts, this should have been the end of the story. But 3 days later, something extraordinary happened. A group of women, including Mary Magdalene, went to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body with spices, a customary act of respect. When they arrived, they were met with an astonishing sight. The massive stone had been rolled away, and the tomb was empty. An angel appeared to them, declaring, "He is not here. He has risen just as he said." Can you imagine their mix of fear, confusion, and overwhelming joy? They ran to tell the disciples, Peter and John, who then raced to the tomb themselves to see the empty linen cloths lying there. This wasn't just a fleeting vision seen by a few distraught individuals. The appearances of the resurrected Jesus are some of the most well-documented parts of the story. He first appeared to Mary Magdalene, then to the other women. Later that day, he appeared to 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus, walking and talking with them for miles before they recognized him. That evening, he appeared to 10 of his disciples who were huddled together in a locked room. A week later, he appeared again, this time with Thomas, who had doubted the initial reports, present. But it didn't stop there. The appearances continued for 40 days. Jesus appeared to 7 disciples by the Sea of Galilee, where he cooked them breakfast. He appeared to his own brother James, who had previously been skeptical, and perhaps most impressively, the Apostle Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthians, which is one of the earliest Christian documents we have, written around 55 AD, mentions that Jesus appeared to more than 500 people at one time. Paul even adds that most of these witnesses were still alive when he was writing, essentially inviting his readers to go and verify the facts for themselves. Think about the sheer number of witnesses. This wasn't a private revelation. It was a public series of events. 500 people seeing the same thing at the same time is not mass hysteria. It's powerful, collective testimony. These weren't just random strangers. They were fishermen, tax collectors, men, and women, people from all walks of life who knew Jesus personally. They had eaten with him, walked with him, and listened to his teachings. They knew what he looked like, how he spoke, and how he acted. They were in a position to know if it was really him or an impostor. The transformation of these witnesses is one of the strongest arguments for the resurrection. Take Peter, for example. The night Jesus was arrested, Peter denied even knowing him 3 times out of fear. Yet, just a few weeks later, this same man stood up in the middle of Jerusalem, the very city where Jesus was crucified, and boldly proclaimed to thousands that Jesus had been raised from the dead. What could cause such a radical change from cowardice to courage? Only seeing the risen Lord could explain it. The disciples went from being a terrified group, hiding behind locked doors, to becoming the most courageous evangelists in history. They traveled the world, facing persecution, imprisonment, and ultimately martyrdom. Tradition tells us that nearly all of them died for their belief that Jesus had risen. People might die for a belief they think is true, but would they die for something they knew was a lie? If they had stolen the body and made the whole thing up, would they have endured such suffering for a fabrication? It seems highly unlikely. Their willingness to die for their testimony speaks volumes about its truthfulness. Now, let's address some alternative explanations. Some have suggested that the disciples hallucinated, but hallucinations are typically private, individual experiences. It's virtually unheard of 400 or 500 people to have the same detailed hallucination at the same time. Others say the disciples stole the body, but this doesn't explain their transformed character or their willingness to die for their claim. Plus, the Roman guards and the heavy stone make a tomb raiding scenario extremely difficult. It's also interesting to consider the historical context of other beliefs. For instance, the Quran, the holy book of Islam. was written around 600 years after the life of Jesus, it offers a different perspective, suggesting that Jesus did not die on the cross but was taken up to heaven. While this is a cherished belief for our Muslim friends, from a historical standpoint, the Christian accounts recorded in the Gospels and Paul's letters are much closer to the events themselves. They were written by eyewitnesses or based on direct eyewitness testimony within a few decades of the events, not centuries later. The historical proximity of these New Testament documents gives them significant weight. The resurrection is the cornerstone of the Christian faith. It's the event that gives meaning to everything Jesus taught and did. It's the ultimate proof of his claims about himself and the ultimate source of hope for humanity. It tells us that love is stronger than hate, life is stronger than death, and that there is hope beyond the grave. This isn't just an ancient story. It's a living hope that continues to change lives today, offering forgiveness, purpose, and the promise of a future filled with light. The evidence from the empty tomb and the numerous eyewitness accounts to the transformed lives of the disciples presents a compelling case. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore this incredible topic. I hope this has given you something to think about and reflect on. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, take care and stay curious.